people have been left injured and over 400,000 have been classified as affected by the disaster. Nigeria says a growing number of its citizens are being illegally recruited to fight in wars abroad. The Foreign Ministry warned Nigerians against accepting military service contracts with foreign powers. It says recruitment tactics often include offers of high salaries and fast-tracked citizenship. The BBC's Makochi.
Officials say some Nigerians were lured with promises of jobs or education but ended up fighting for Russia with little training. Earlier this week, Ukrainian officials said they had found the bodies of 2 Nigerian men who had signed up to fight alongside Russian forces. They had been killed last November on the front lines in Luhansk. Over 1,400 Africans from 36 countries are believed to be fighting alongside Russian troops in Ukraine.
Lastly, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is considering making a significant increase in defence spending. Starmer's looking at meeting an existing spending target earlier than planned amid concerns in Europe about Russia's continuing full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The BBC's James Landale.
The government aims to spend 2.5% of national wealth on defence by 2027, with an ambition of reaching 3% in the next Parliament. I understand the Prime Minister's considering reaching 3% earlier, potentially by the end of this Parliament. His aim to cover existing defence costs and to meet future challenges. He told the Munich Security Conference at the weekend, "We're going to have to spend more faster to meet the wider threat. But this would be expensive and that would mean more taxes, borrowing or cuts elsewhere." Downing Street said no decisions had been made about the defence investment plan.
Recapping on your top stories, the former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta says the new Angola-mediated ceasefire with the M23 group will start tomorrow. The agreement is intended to bring an immediate halt to hostilities in the east, where communities have borne the brunt of recurring clashes. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, UEFA has released its official financial breakdown from last season's European competitions, while Al Ahly chief Rui Pedro speaks on Cristiano Ronaldo's strike. I'll tell you more at 4:30.
Business, trade, and investment opportunities that put the continent first. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni.
It has gone exactly 6 minutes after 4 p.m. A very good afternoon to you, Angola. Good afternoon, Senegal, Eritrea. Good afternoon, Côte d'Ivoire. Good afternoon, Africa. Welcome to Africa in Business on Channel Africa. I'm Thami Ngubeni. This is where you get the African perspective. It's where we meet to look at the latest in news, sport and business. Coming up this hour, Tongaat Hewlett files for provisional liquidation. And flights at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport delayed due to the ongoing strike by the Kenya Aviation Workers Union. You will remember that we did speak to the union last week on the eve of this strike. Do stay with us on Africa in Business as we bring you the latest from around the continent.
Connecting Africa to the world. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni brings you the latest insights on Africa's economy.
It is 7 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. We begin here this afternoon. The Kenyan President William Ruto says the African Continental Free Trade Area is entering a decisive implementation phase as Africa positions itself for stronger economic integration, industrial growth and expanded global trade. Speaking at the recently concluded 39th African Union Summit of Heads of State and Governments in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Ruto, who is the AU champion on AfCFTA implementation, highlighted progress since the agreement became operational in January of 2021, noting that key protocols and institutional frameworks are now in place. He stressed that the focus has shifted from negotiations to delivering tangible benefits for Africa's 1.4 billion people, with the trade pact aimed at transforming borders into bridges for investment, enterprise and continental prosperity, All of this under Agenda 2063. Channel Africa's reporter Michael Mbewe filed this report.
The implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area is a pivotal step towards accelerating Africa's economic transformation and regional integration. By reducing tariffs, harmonizing trade regulations, and improving market access across the continent, the agreement creates a larger, more competitive single market. This encouraging intra-African trade idea will stimulate industrialization and support value addition rather than reliance on raw commodity exports. African economies can diversify, strengthen supply chains, and build greater resilience against global economic shocks. Kenyan President William Ruto explains the benefits of AfCFTA.
Africa today stands at an important moment in its economic journey, shaped by major demographic change, expanding regional integration, and rapid technological progress. These forces are redefining our role in global markets and creating new opportunities for investment, enterprise, and growth. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is one of the flagship projects of Agenda 2063 and a practical expression of our shared vision of the Africa we want. It reflects our collective determination to build an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful continent, driven by its own citizens and playing a stronger role in the global economy. By bringing together our markets, the AfCFTA creates the basis for structural economic transformation, enabling industrialization, value addition, and broad-based growth at continental level.
He stated that since its launch in 2021, significant progress has been achieved and the focus now remains firmly on implementation. However, he expressed concern about the persistent obstacles hindering its implementation.
Since entering its operational phase in January 2021, the AfCFTA has made meaningful progress. Most core protocols have been negotiated and institutional frameworks are in place. Our priority now shifts firmly from negotiation to implementation so that the agreement delivers tangible benefits for our 1.4 billion people. We all remember the original intention of AfCFTA was for us to make our borders not barriers, not roadblocks, not impediments, but to make our borders stepping stones and bridges between our different countries so that we can trade better.
Former AU chairperson Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who is the driving force behind AU Agenda 2063, says the idea behind a borderless Africa means free movement of people and goods, visa-free travel for Africans, and payments in local currencies to boost intra-continental trade.
When the borderless Africa means we are one Africa. We are one Africa, and also we want to trade amongst ourselves as Africans. And trading means moving goods and people. Now, that's why we want borderless, so that traders can be able to move around Africa as they need to. So we want Africans not to need a visa to go to any African country. But also borderless is about the payment system. We don't want to continue paying through other people's currencies. We want to pay through our own currencies. So if I'm buying stuff from Ghana, I should be able to pay in my currency and they receive it in their currency. So that is also part of borderless.
Zuma added that a borderless Africa will enable free movement of skills, improve infrastructure and telecommunications, and drive economic growth and continental prosperity.
We also want skills to be able to move around the continent because there is a lot of work that needs skills. For instance, to move freely, you need road, you need rail, you need air travel, you need sea. So all that infrastructure that connects us needs to be up to scratch. So skills need to be able to move. Telecommunication, we need to be able to communicate freely. So that's what this borderless Africa means. And it will help to develop Africa. It will help to grow the economy. It will help to realize prosperity on the continent.
She cited slow implementation and low citizen engagement as key obstacles to achieving a borderless Africa under Agenda 2063.
The biggest roadblocks are the slow or lack of implementation. Decisions get taken, but it's the implementation that is slow And the biggest roadblock also is us as citizens, because we don't take an interest in what should happen. Whereas Agenda 2063 says the Africa we want must be driven by its citizens. So this movement of a borderless Africa is about involving citizens and engaging citizens to be part of building this Africa we want, which is in part a borderless Africa.
Michael Mbewe, Channel Africa News, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Africa means business. Tune into Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni for the future of the African economy. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 13 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. We turn our focus now to Tongaat Hewlett. The company has filed for provisional liquidation following repeated warnings from the sugar industry urging the government to intervene in order to prevent the sector's collapse. The potential closure of the 130-year-old company threatens not only the industry's stability, but also the livelihoods of thousands of workers. Tongaat Hewlett initially entered business rescue proceedings in 2019 after suffering a catastrophic decline triggered by an accounting fraud scandal. For more on this, we're joined on the line by the Deputy General Secretary of the Food and Allied Workers Union, Fabu Edwin Maboa. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Good to have you with us on Africa in Business. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
So you have been sounding the alarm on the Tongaat Hewlett situation for quite a while now. What are your thoughts on the possibility of the company being liquidated now that the ball has gone so far down the field?
No, it's no longer a possibility. It's something that is imminent. When the president was busy with the State of the Nation address, we get to know about the imminent liquidation of Tongaat Hewlett, which is unfortunate.
Do you think the government has done enough to prevent the collapse of this company that's over 134 years old?
From the union's perspective, we don't think the government have done enough, or let me say they have done anything to try and save Tongaat Hewlett. Policy-wise, when you look at the sugar tax coupled with the import of sugar in the country, which is cheaper than the locally produced sugar, so in its own, it's a death warrant for sugar industry in this country.
So what really is behind the decline and the demise of this company? Yes, there was the accounting fraud scandal, there's the sugar tax, but what do you believe are the factors at play here?
No, from where we are sitting as a union, we were hoping that government will come up with policies that are economic friendly, if you understand me. You can't, it cuts across most of the sectors in the food industry. Your poultry, I can couple it with textile. Why do you allow imports in something that you are producing locally, and the imports becomes cheaper? You don't even attach tariff to the imports. So you are setting up the local economy for failure, or the local producers for failure. So government have done nothing at all to try and prevent the collapse of the sugar industry. So we are sitting here now thinking, who's next? RCL Sugar can be next. Anybody can be next.
And how many jobs are on the pipeline here? How many are at the immediate risk of being lost due to this liquidation?
Directly, ma'am, in Tongaat Hewlett, we are talking about 5,500 workers that are facing the chop. So I'm not counting the indirect jobs or the local sugarcane producers that are going to be affected together with their families. So if we were to add those, we are talking about 30 to 30,000 jobs that are going to be lost.
And what are the opportunities and other opportunities that are available in the area? Because jobs are very much area dependent. What are the other options that the workers can then go to after this?
Nothing. You take for an example of the, what do you call BAT in Heidelberg. The closure of BAT in Heidelberg is rendering Heidelberg into a ghost town, same as Tongaat Sugar. That area will be rendered into a hollowed economy or a ghost economy because of the collapse of Tongat Village.
Let me take you back a bit to 2019. You'll remember that accounting scandal that destabilized the company initially. Do you have any progress on where that particular case is? Have there been any criminal charges laid against those former executives related to that scandal?
No, we don't have information with regards to the case, unfortunately.
So where to from here as FAO? Are your hands tied? Is it, as you said, a fait accompli and you just literally going to await when they say this is your last day and then you pack your bags and go?
No, we're not going to sit down and say our hands are tied. We're going to, as we have done before, we're going to knock at the doors of the Competition Commission, Trade and Industry, the Presidency, to see to it that if this company is liquidated, is there no investor interested in investing in this company? Or are we saying we are now condemning these workers to hunger, poverty, and other things? So we're going to try our level best to engage all stakeholders to see to it that we try and save, if not all, but a portion of the company.
And what are the timelines that we're talking about here? How much time do you have to try and save the company?
A month or two or so. We don't have much time. I have to be honest with you.
Would you not say that's a little bit too little, too late?
It is too little, too late. But we've been making the same noise over and over again, ma'am. And we've been making the same noise to a government who's not able to listen.
All right.
Unfortunately, that's what we are subjected to. Leadership does not pass policies that are economically friendly, that are worker friendly. They are passing policies that are profit friendly.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Mr. Edwin Maboa. We thank you so much for talking to us today. And we really can just wish you all the best as well as all the workers that will be affected and the company as well. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks so very much.
Thank you. That is Mr. Edwin Maboa. He is the Deputy General Secretary of the Food and Allied Workers Union. Tongaat Hewlett, really a historical company in South Africa. It was founded in the 1800s, around 1892, and really is one of the historical pillars of South Africa's sugar industry. And it really will be a calamity to see it shut down, like so many other companies that we've seen shut down in the country. It's 21 minutes after 4.
The voice of the continent, now online, with all your sports fixtures, lifestyle, and more. The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
I Show Speed, often called Speed, who is a popular American YouTuber and live streamer known for his high-energy personality, loud reactions, and unpredictable humor. He visited Ethiopia, and he was shocked what he found out, actually, when he got to Ethiopia. He got to find out that, they don't use the Gregorian calendar. That is, we are in 2026 right now. And he got to find out they are in 2018.
2018. Now you trolling me. It's 2026. No. It ain't 2026. Wait, hold on. Wait, we in the past? Ronaldo is still in Real Madrid. Everything is in the past here.
Oh man, how shocked the Speed was. He went back in time.
Saturday and Sunday mornings belong to the Morning Switch. 3 to 6 a.m. Central African Time. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is 22 minutes after 4 p.m. as we turn our focus now to Kenya. Flights at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi have been delayed due to the ongoing strike by the Kenya Aviation Workers Union, KAWU. The disruption stemmed from a labour dispute between KAWU and the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. KAWU announced that its members would down their tools on Monday, following a 7-day strike notice issued to KCAA. For more on this, we're joined on the line by correspondent in Kenya, Alex Kiari. A very good afternoon to you, Alex. Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Good afternoon. And indeed, as you said, it's a scenes of chaos at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And not just that one, but also the Moi International Airport in Mombasa is also affected. And it's quite interesting to note that this is coming a day after the Labour Court in Kenya issued an order halting any industrial action by the Kenya Aviation Workers Union, which had already declared a 7-day strike from the 9th of February. Tambi.
We actually did have a conversation with them last week, and they cited so many concerns that they had. And speaking to the union, it was quite clear that this is not something that could really easily be resolved overnight. But can you give us an overview of the flight disruptions that are currently taking place at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport?
Actually, after the court issued an order halting that strike that had been declared 7 days earlier, the union actually implemented a different way of thing, and they decided to call it a ghost law. And initially, it had been ignored until at around midday when it became certain that issues are not as they were supposed to be, because the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority did issue a statement at around 1 p.m. local time, calling on airline workers or airlines to note that there could be some disruptions in terms of landing and taking off of flights. And this actually became more escalated at around 2 p.m. when now most of the flights were grounded. No flight could land, and no flight could also take off. And in the process, the Kenya Airways also issued its own circular to travelers that warning them that there could be some disruptions in terms of flight takeoffs and landing. And most travelers were therefore warned to note that the flights could be delayed in the process. And this is what has now been noted as the day moved on. And right now, as we speak, so many flights are grounded at the airports, and many more are yet to take off, and more travelers are actually stuck at the airports because of the whole situation here. And as you indicated, having spoken to them before, I'm very sure that you are able to understand that there were so many underlying issues that were not resolved, which could have been resolved before, part of which was about the contracted workers situation and their cases, which they say that they were working under very strenuous conditions. And also the fact that the dues that were being deducted from those who were pensionable and permanently employed were not being remitted to the union. And this is what has led to this. And the fact that the court also seemed to be siding with the Kenya Civil Society Authority, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, made the thing so worse, so that it has led to this situation. And so many travelers are now stranded, flights are grounded, and no one knows how this is going to be resolved.
And are there any emergency measures that are being put in place in order to assist the travellers? I'm thinking about refunds, for example, or rebooking, or alternative transport that is being provided for them.
Currently, this being the hub of the region in terms of air travel, it is quite difficult to tell right now, because now that's being left to the airlines. Like I know that Kenya Airways has decided to book most of the travelers in local hotels, and also to refund and postpone those who have not been able to travel so far, the local Kenyan travelers. But the situation is quite difficult for those who are connecting flights from Nairobi, and most of them are now being forced now to connect the flights from Bole Airport in Ethiopia, which is now the next largest airline around here, or rather a facility around here that can allow such to happen. But so far, it's more chaos and confusion, and so many travelers are now raising their concerns over the same, because they don't know what to do next, and the KCAA is not doing much in terms of communicating on what could be done to alleviate the crisis as it is unfolding right now.
And do we know how long the strike is expected to continue for?
Previous cases of strikes have been resolved after 1 week or so, but we have also seen other unions engaging in long-drawn strikes that end up disrupting sectors, including teachers whose strike have lasted almost 6 months. As we speak right now, medics are also on strike, and it has been that way for the last 3 months. So we do not know how long this is going to take, considering the fact that the court had already halted this thing. And this definitely clearly it indicates that there could be some negotiations to ensure that the smooth travel of passengers is achieved, even as they try to sort out the issues, because this is now not just a domestic issue, but also an international matter.
Certainly, Mr. Alex Kiari, thank you very much for updating us on developments in Kenya at the airports. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is our correspondent in Kenya, Alex Kiari, taking us to 28 minutes after 4 p.m.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
Now, the National E-Hailing Federation of South Africa is calling for urgent safety reforms. This is after recent violent attacks on drivers in cities like Durban and Pretoria. This comes as 3 suspects linked to the murder of 22-year-old e-hailing driver Isaac David Saltat in Pretoria West abandoned their bail application on Monday and remain in custody. The Federation says fake ride requests and targeted crimes are putting drivers' lives at risk and is urging stronger passenger verification and faster law enforcement response. Our reporter Lebohang Mabange has more.
The National E-Hailing Federation of South Africa says criminal attacks on drivers are becoming more organized and require immediate intervention from both government and ride-hailing platforms. NEFSA national spokesperson Tela Masakale says fake ride requests are increasingly being used to target drivers.
Incidences involving fake ride requests and criminals targeting of drivers are a serious concern. And NEFSA has consistently advocated for stronger safeguards. We are currently pushing for measures such as verified passenger identification systems linked to Home Affairs, where passengers can be instantly verified whether they have criminal records or whether they are supposed to be legally in the country or whether they are who they claim they are. Also, stronger account authentication to verify that these passengers actually own these accounts and actually own the payment accounts linked thereof.
Masakale says a proposed rider verification systems could mirror the driver verification measures already in place.
The proposed rider verification measures such as biometrics and trigger SIMs are very practical and enforceable, similar to how driver verification systems are practical and are being currently enforced. The reason why a rider verification is not really currently included is because it was never really a norm for violence such as the one that persists in South Africa. Let us not forget South Africa has a very high crime rate. Therefore, the standards of practice needs to be tailored to South African norms.
The Federation is also engaging law enforcement to improve response times in high-risk areas.
As NEFSA, we recently embarked with our affiliates in the Western Cape on a safety roadshow going to each SAPS station where we've identified hotspot zones related to e-hailing incidences. We've then established a formal communication channel between BOLT, the Federation, as well as the SAPS. We would like to roll out a similar structure nationally for communication purposes for incident reporting. However, in addition to that, we strongly believe a dedicated rapid response unit would be more effective.
NEFSA says coordinated law enforcement support, verified passenger systems and rapid response units could significantly improve safety for drivers across the country. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Lebohang Mabange in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 4:32 Central African time. Let's take you now to the markets desk, where Buntle Hedbush is standing by with your latest market indicators.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Thami. Good afternoon. And our final look at the indicators. $1 is trading at 15 Rand 92 cents in South Africa. In Botswana, it's trading at 13 Pula and 5. In Namibia, it's at 15 Namibian dollars 92. The Zambian kwacha is trading at 18 kwacha 12. In Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 44. In Ethiopia, 155 birr and 2. Uganda 3,521 shilling, and in Tanzania it's at 2,600 shilling. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,352 naira. In Egypt, the dollar is trading at 46 Egyptian pounds 79. Tunisia 2 dinar 83, while Algeria is trading at 128 dinar 69. In Morocco, the dollar will cost you 9 dirham 13. In Angola, it's trading at 912 kwanza, while the Congolese franc is trading at 2,240 to the US dollar. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,992 per ounce. It's inched down a bit this afternoon. Platinum at $2,024 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $63.40 a barrel. And that's the indicators. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For the Channel Africa Business Desk, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And for the latest from the business of sport, here's Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you so much, Thami. A very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. So UEFA have released its official financial breakdown from last season's European competitions, with Paris Saint-Germain topping the list with $171 million. So after lifting the trophy as clear champions of Europe, the Paris club also emerged as the competition's biggest financial winner. For clubs across Europe, the Champions League is far more than prestige. It's the economic engine that sustains budgets, fuels transfers, spending, and in some cases determines long-term survival. Just last season, UEFA distributed around $475 million to clubs that fell short before reaching the league phase. Another $366 million went to teams that did not even make it through the preliminary qualifying rounds. Among teams that reached the Champions League proper, Paris Saint-Germain led the way with $171 million, and Inter Milan, the runner-ups, earning roughly $161 million. Arsenal, as well as Barcelona, each brought in $137.75 million apiece, while Bayern Munich earned $125.4 million, while Borussia Dortmund collected $121.1. Real Madrid's run to the quarterfinals translated into about $120 million, following into the Spanish giants' coffers, while Liverpool received $116.4 million. Bayer Leverkusen took home $103 million. Atletico Madrid rounded off the top 10 with $99.75 million in prize money. Girona, one of the tournament's surprise participants, earned $34.4 million, a significant boost, of course, for a club of its size. Cristiano Ronaldo should be hailed for kick-starting the growth in Saudi Arabian football despite his recent outburst. That's according to Al Ahly chief Rui Pedro. Now, the former Manchester United as well as Real Madrid star has been at the centre of a row with bosses this month. He was reportedly left disappointed at the lack of investment in Al Nassr, having believed that rivals have received more backing from the Public Investment Fund. That saw him pull out of the squad for recent games against Al Riyadh as well as Al Ittihad. Ronaldo, though, returned over the weekend as he played against Al Fatah, a game in which he also scored his 18th league goal of the campaign. Al Ahly sporting director Rui Pedro has now shared his take on the row and also suggested that the veteran should be praised for his influence on Saudi Arabian football.
It's not my place to speak about the way that he decided to make his point. I'm sure he has his own reasons. What I can say is that if we are all here today, if we are all here working in Saudi Arabia, most of the responsibility, most of the credit goes to Cristiano Ronaldo. He opened the doors to the rest of the world, to Saudi Arabia. So I think that's the biggest compliment that we can offer him. And what he's been doing game after game, he keeps scoring, he keeps raising the numbers to unimaginable numbers.
Onto this now. South Africa's iconic Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, the world's most beautiful marathon, is set to raise the bar even higher in 2026, unveiling an impressive combined prize purse of $163 million US dollars, and now reaffirming its place among the world's most prestigious road running events. Now, both the internationally celebrated ultra marathon as well as the ever popular half marathon will enjoy a boost in prize money for 2026, with the ultra marathon offering $131,000 US dollars, while the half marathon a substantial $28,000 US dollars. Now, this generous prize purse highlights the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon's ongoing commitment to attracting top-tier talent, also celebrating elite performance, and also delivering world-class exciting races. And finally, on to Formula One news. Damac Properties have now signed up as a partner for Formula One team Oracle Red Bull Racing, marking the start of a long-term partnership with the racing team. Now, the collaboration is a result of Damac Properties as well as Oracle Red Bull Racing sharing values of ambition, performance, innovation, and a pursuit of excellence. The partnership will see Damac Properties branding and logos appear on the Oracle Red Bull Racing team's halo as well as side pods. Extending beyond the car itself, the branding will also be positioned on the team principal as well as driver team, featuring four-time world champion Max Verstappen and up-and-coming talent Isaac Hadjar's kit, helmets as well as race suits. The collaboration is also expected to generate greater global engagement and also create meaningful outcomes for both brands. It's 16:39 p.m. Central African Time and concludes your sports news this afternoon on Channel Africa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'll be back with more sports news tomorrow morning on Africa Rise and Shine. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. 60 years of Channel Africa. Your trusted voice. Your African perspective into the future. The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect. African enterprise meets global opportunity. Africa in business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 4:40 Central African Time as we turn our focus now to a newly formed mining industry body and advocacy organization. The Africa Gold Council says it aims to strengthen and transform the gold sector across the continent. Launched at the just concluded 2026 Investing in Africa Mining Indaba in Cape Town, the council is expected to help build a more productive, profitable and sustainable gold ecosystem in Africa, moving beyond the export of raw gold towards greater value addition on the continent. Channel Africa's economics reporter, Innocent Simosa, has more.
The Africa Gold Council says it aims to bring together policymakers, mining stakeholders, investors and researchers to create a unified voice for Africa's gold industry. Africa continues to export most of its gold in raw form. What concrete steps will the council take to ensure real value addition happens on the continent? Keith Nare is the director at Africa Gold Council.
Reversing raw gold exports through value addition. The status quo of exporting raw wealth is unsustainable. We are taking the following concrete steps to ensure real value remains on the continent. Firstly, integrated market development. Our vision is an integrated continental free market for gold and its precursor inputs. We are championing the supply of metallurgical expertise and processing innovation to ensure beneficiation happens locally. Secondly, ecosystem investments. We are focusing on ecosystem investments, including efficient technology for processing and beneficiation, as well as competitive infrastructure and logistic networks to support domestic industrial use of gold.
Gold mining has also faced criticism around transparency, environmental damage, and community exclusion. Nare details how the council will balance profitability with sustainability and community benefit in a measurable way.
We obviously recognize that profitability cannot exist in a vacuum. We use measurable tools to ensure shared prosperity. Firstly, we have what we call the Community Transformation Index. This is our primary tool for measurability. We're introducing a community prosperity platform and index to provide an objective basis for modeling and articulating progress. This replaces generalized feedback with focused data that matches the specific needs of a community. Secondly, sustainability through dialogue. Our investment hypothesis is that facilitating a more productive dialogue between governments, investors, and host communities creates a footprint that is more sustainable than past extractive sectors. Xeno and small-scale gold mining formalization. This is a major pillar of our strategy, and this strategy enables us to focus on ASGM by bringing those miners into harmonized, transparent ecosystem. We will be able to address environmental damage and exclusion at the grassroots level.
Meanwhile, the organization says promoting renewable data transparency and conducting research on gold production can be challenging in some regions, particularly where political uncertainty persists.
We believe that by building a deep shared knowledge base, we can mobilize social consent and unlock the optimal value of African gold for the citizens who own it.
For Channel Africa News, I'm Innocent Samosa in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 4:44 Central African time as we take a look at a recent survey by ACCA, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. It reveals that 62% of finance professionals in Africa anticipate flexible career paths, replacing traditional roles by the year 2035. This shift towards non-linear careers, which is characterized by lateral moves and diversified skill set, is being driven by technological advances, evolving expectations for work-life balance, and changing workforce demographics. For more on this, we're joined on the line by Portia Tsakane Mkabela, Market Head of ACCA Southern Africa. A very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us on African Business.
Good to speak to you again in 2026, Thami. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. I would have actually said Happy New Year, but my cutoff is the 31st of January. So after that, we just take it as a fait accompli.
Good to speak to you in 2026, though.
Awesome. I hope yours is off to a really, really good start. So let's take a look at this report.
Sure.
It shows that the flexible working hours and demographics are replacing the traditional career roles. What exactly is behind this shift? Because it is a shift that's being experienced globally, but how is it playing out differently across corporate Africa?
Thank you so much for the question, Thami. As you've already outlined in your opening statement, that 62% of finance professionals in Africa believe that flexible career paths will replace traditional roles in the year 2025. So from a global and Africa survey, respondents ranked technology as the most significant driver of this change. By that, really, we mean that future career paths and workplaces will be shaped by emerging technologies, automation, and data analytics, including artificial intelligence, which really dominates the future. And really, a second driver of change for Africa respondents in particular is the uncertainties on geopolitical issues, in particular the slower growth and global fragmentation challenging personal prosperity. So in any change that we see, Thami, from a geopolitical issues, it actually hits our pockets, isn't it?
So obviously when careers change, the type of skills that are needed also change in order to fit these new careers. So looking into the future of work and careers, what skills are becoming more critical on the African continent as careers become more flexible?
So obviously, as I've highlighted earlier on, the need for us to adapt to artificial intelligence means that, the careers that people need to look at is, applying artificial intelligence into the work that we do. But secondly, technology is changing on in a rapid way, Thami, and therefore we need to adjust ourselves to really keep up with technology. Data analytics also remains one of our key drivers in terms of the skills that we need to integrate, and also sustainability integration into the work that we do. That also includes risk management and climate finance as well. So those are some of the skills that are driving accounting skills in the future and what organizations are actually looking at. You'll be so amazed that one of the key drivers in terms of the work that we do is also those that can use social media to transform the accounting profession.
So I wonder then, in the hierarchy and the stacking order of priorities, let me put it this way, what would be your major and your minor or your elective here? What then goes forward as a primary skill, and what would be a secondary? Or are the AI technology skills being put on par with the accounting, the finance, and other skills that one would traditionally have had to acquire?
So in terms of the hierarchy, obviously you would need to have a profession. For example, you need to be an accountant, you need to be a risk analyst, you need to be a data analyst specialist, and thereafter use AI to really support the work that you do. So you need to have the foundational skills in terms of the professional skills that you acquire, and thereafter you then need to have, ability to use technology, ability to understand the sustainability reporting requirements that are driving the accounting profession. So in terms of hierarchy, we still need to have that base as a foundation, and thereafter you need to start acclimatizing yourself with regards to the new technology, the changes in technology, but also the international regulations as well. I think that also becomes one of the critical skills, Thami, especially within the accounting space.
And how can professionals in less developed markets stay competitive in a global talent pool?
Lifelong learning remains a critical aspect. So there is no way that you can say, I'm an accountant today and don't develop yourself. So in ACCA, we develop a CPD, which is continuous development programs that are in line with the international requirements of an accounting profession. But at the same time, I think we also need to keep abreast with the changes that we are seeing. So one of those would really be to ensure that from a data analytics skills, competencies and capabilities, and even the language that we are using, it becomes a critical skill that people need to have, and sometimes we underestimate that importance.
Oh, well, thank you so much. A really interesting conversation, and one that's going to be applicable for many years to come. As you say, it's a lifelong learning process that we need to adapt. Lovely talking to you once again, Portia. Have a great one.
You too. Thank you,
Thank
Thami.
you. That's Portia Tsakane Mkhabela. She's market head of ACCA Southern Africa. So there you have it. Technology and artificial intelligence really there as amplifiers. They're there to amplify the trade that you already have, the profession that you already have. But it's important to keep growing and keep developing, as she says.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music @channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
From markets to innovation. From markets to innovation. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni covers it all. With Africa's future in focus, Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 4:53 Central African time. Now, in this week's FNB slot, we reflect on President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address. We also look at South Africa's unemployment rate in the fourth quarter, inflation figures for January, and the data on December's retail sales. For more on these developments, FNB senior economist Koketso Manu joins us on the line. A very good afternoon to you, Koketso. Good to be talking to you again.
Thank you for having me, Thami. It's always good to see you.
So before we look at the week ahead, perhaps let's look at the week that was. What is it that stood out for you from the President's State of the Nation address?
Yes, a very interesting State of the Nation address indeed. But I guess really what we take from it as economists is just this continued drive in terms of structural reforms, which we know we urgently need in the country. They spread along, infrastructure, key sectors. So it's basically just a reaffirmation of Operation Vulindlela Phase 1 and Phase 2, where they've now, instead of just looking at, logistics, energy, they're also looking at water, which we know is a very serious issue in this country. They're also looking at digitization of public services. But I guess what was also interesting from the State of the Nation address was that they also trying to focus a little bit more on crime, which is also something that could ward off key investments in the country. So we're hopeful that all of these will gain traction. I liked that the president emphasized that, yes, there's been, some gains that have been made. There's been progress on this front, but, there's no time to, get complacent with these things. There's still quite a lot to be done. We still need growth to accelerate much faster in order for us to resolve some of these key socioeconomic issues that we're currently grappling with.
So coming back to the president now, we are seeing this week, we'll see rather if the unemployment rate is going to decrease or if it's going to increase as far as the fourth quarter is concerned of last year. What are your expectations regarding that?
Yeah, so in terms of the fourth quarter numbers, right, what you're likely to see is an improvement in terms of the employment levels, which is something that we've been seeing since the pandemic, that there's been this gradual improvement in terms of job creation. We've now surpassed, where we were at the end of 2019. So we have seen that recovery taking shape. So in the fourth quarter, we're likely to continue to see that, especially as these seasonal factors that usually support employment in the last quarter of the year come into effect, as you go into this festive season. So trade, that sector tends to employ people even if it's on a temporary basis. So we're likely to see that coming through. But Thami, when you think about the unemployment rates, which is a function of, how many people are unemployed and a function of the labor market, the sheer size of people that are available to work, I think we're still going to see quite a sticky number there, just reflecting that we're still having some of these socioeconomic issues, weak growth at the same time that we're having population growth. So unfortunately, those people will still remain marginalized while the structural reforms gain traction.
We are also expecting this week the release of the inflation figures for January. Are we likely to see easing from December?
We're hopeful. So that's what we currently anticipate. We think that it'll ease from that 3.6% that you saw in December to 3.3% in January. Generally, this year we see inflation slowing compared to what we've seen last year. So we continue to expect that, ease towards 3% continuing to gain traction. So we're positive on that dynamic. When you look at the numbers, you will see, for example, even as services inflation continues to normalize, you may get that positive downward pull that's coming through on the goods side. It will be a feature of import prices. It will be a feature of the rand as well. So we're hopeful that that's something that supports, inflation to be softer this year.
And on Wednesday, we'll also get a glimpse of how big December spending was, as retail sales will be released as well. What is likely to come out of there?
We think retail sales in the last month of the year will probably show us that festive season spending. You would remember, Thami, that last year we always said, the household sector is upholding growth in this economy. It's a function of softer inflation, lower interest rates, and we see, some households repairing their balance sheets. So hopefully that's something that continues to support retail sales in the last month of the year. But as we go through the forecast period, we're hopeful that it's not just going to be a story around household spending, but investments will also start to come through as the president is trying to push for.
All right, Koketso Mano, thank you very much for taking us through our FNB slot for today. That's FNB senior economist Koketso Mane. She takes us to exactly 4:58.